I mean, I would like to tell you what I actually, I am doing right now, which is freaking incredible, and it's a dream come true for anybody. When I wanted to work with this director, let's just say he is the topmost director of India right now. Me and my friend Tushar, we were really hustling to get one small audition in this huge, humongous project. We got that audition after 15 months of chasing the casting director. My mindset, coming from New York Film Academy, and everybody putting it in my mind that you get your roles through auditions, So I didn't even know the word nepotism. I didn't know all of that, right? I was just a stupid boy. I was just an average middle class boy just walking in and just believing in his talent and his work and just like, all right, I'm going to nail this audition and I'm going to get the role. I mean, that's the only belief I had. Because for me, it was like, oh, good looking guys will get the role, at least. But I then understood that wasn't it. Yes, it can open, it can give you a foot into the door, but end of the day, sometimes when you're good looking, they think you can't act. And if you can show your talent in that one scene, you will be noticed. All right, and that's what I've always believed throughout my life, because sometimes that's the only opportunity I get. If I just stuck by the persistence and consistently growing and learning and always developing myself, and it finally actually did.
Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Brown Got to Do With It. So I feel like today's episode is going to be really fun because my guest is Taha Badussha, who is a Dubai-born Indian actor, singer, and former model. Hi Taha, welcome.
Hello there. Glad to be on. This seems like a very interesting podcast, something very different. And of course, you're a very dear friend right now. And I'm thinking that don't ask me any weird questions, okay?
Yeah. Weird questions. And I can't guarantee that. But, your own journey has been like inspirational, amazing, because you were once a new kid on the block. And dare I say it, you're not a kid, drawn from nepotism. So how did you actually get into this whole world of acting?
How did I get into it? It was I would have to say that the main reason I kind of got into acting was because of my mom, right? Because it's actually a very funny story. So in 2007 or 8, I was just graduating from school, and I was getting into university, and I started modeling. And I never used to get any jobs, all right? So I used to get like maybe one job as an extra somewhere, like every 6 months or so. But it was the best time. Like every time I got a job, it'd be like, wow, all right? That would just like blow my mind. So I told my mom about it, and she said, yeah, go ahead, do modeling, do whatever you need. And I'm like, all right. And then I started doing business because my mom was a single mom, and I started helping her out for about 3 years. Right, I was doing business with her, really weird ass business, like something to do with like trading of steel and cement, labor recruitment, real estate, hotel management, like whatever I could really get my hands on. Right, I would just basically just did anything and everything. I dropped out of university. So that was my journey, and then once the financial crisis kind of hit in 2009 or 10, 9, I think 9, I told my mom that I can't really be dealing with money. I'm gonna get a heart attack. I'm gonna die young. All right, so I want to invest in something where no matter the financial crisis, they can't take away anything from me. So I said that I'm really passionate about acting. And she's, without a question, she's like, go ahead, join it. And I'm like, oh, wow. All right. That was easy enough. So I took the first step of New York Film Academy opened up in Abu Dhabi and at 2008. And I was researching in 2009. So I wanted to join it. And then I kind of gave up on the dream. I told my mom that this ain't happening. I was just being stupid about it. So a month later, my mom is like, what happened to that? I'm like, I was just being stupid. And she's like, you know what? She grabbed me by my ear, put me in the car. I used to live in Sharjah, right? She drove me down to Abu Dhabi, took me to New York Film Academy, registered my name, paid the fees, dropped me at the hostel where everybody used to stay. And she's like, I'm coming back tomorrow, and I am getting your stuff and your food and everything, and you're going to stay here and you're going to start on Monday. And that was a Saturday. So I stayed there Sunday, and I joined New York Film Academy on Monday. Literally, I was in my pajamas when I joined New York Film Academy. So my mom just literally drove me down, and that's how I started my acting career. From there, it just kind of, catapulted me to Mumbai, where I was just supposed to go for about 4 days, and then I'm like, we're coming back. I just never came back.
So that's really interesting because, your mom, I think by education, she's a biochemist, right?
She is.
Is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'm a single mom, and, I would think that at that time you could do with the help, like, or she could have done with the help at that time financially and things like that. So it's very unusual, but really refreshing also that she actually pushed you to go and follow a passion. I mean, maybe in that time there wasn't a lot of that happening from, especially like a South Asian parent.
No, it definitely wasn't. A lot of my friends who I grew up with over here said that, you're being stupid and nothing's really going to happen. You should come back to university and finish off your education. And I told them that this is going to be my education. I mean, arts can be an education. You don't really need to just be something to do with science or math. But of course, I was very scared, man. To be very honest, I was very scared. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. All right. But as soon as I joined New York Film Academy with the support of my mom, I felt at home. I felt like I found my people. It was so refreshing because I've always felt like an outsider. Even with my friends, I've always felt like I don't belong. Like I don't know why. And as soon as I was with the crowd of actors and directors and editors and filmmakers, I just felt like, wow, this is like a puzzle piece. I just kind of like I just fit in, and I would do anything and everything day in day out, and I loved it. It was just it. At that point of time, I didn't know what passion was, or what I don't know all that stuff. I just knew that I was very 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 happy. At that time, I used to date this one girl, and she also was very negative. She would be like, you can't make it, as you can't do this. Why are you doing this? We should just get married and do this business and like start. I'm like, bro, I don't mind getting married and all that, but like, why you keep saying that I can't do it? You know what I mean? Because I hate it. I hate when people say you can't do something. And it really hurt me. And I'm like, I am going to do something and you guys are going to see. And yeah, I guess that was the driving force behind me. And my brother was in Canada at that point of time, so my mom was all alone over here. She put me in university. She stayed alone for a few months, and then my brother kind of came back, and he never left my mom because one of us had to be with my mom, right? So yeah, he was very kind, and he's like, you go ahead, you do your stuff, and I'm here. I got your back, and
I mean, that's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, he kind of took over
That level of
like a
support.
father figure as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's just about a year elder than me, but he's so mature.
Okay.
And today is his birthday, so happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday.
And I really really love him, man. I feel like he's always got my back. I never have to think twice when I have to do something, and he's like always there to support me. Of course, there came a time like right now I've been in the industry for about I'm touching next year is going to be 14 years. Yeah, 13, 14 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And somewhere down the line, about 7, 8 years down, my brother's like, this is maybe not for you. Maybe you should come back and maybe you should just do something else. And my mom's like, she takes me to the side, and she's like, come here. And I'm like, I was very sad because my brother's telling me that I need to look for plan B. And she's like, look, you don't need a plan B. I got you. You go I got you. And I'm like, where do you get people like this? I mean, my brother wants the best for me. I understand,
Yeah,
but
of course.
blind freaking blind faith by my mom. She's like, no matter what you want to do, I will invest whatever you need as long as you want to learn things. Like if I'm going to go waste money on like clubbing and drinking and shit like that, then of course I'm just being a bad example and a bad person. And I'm not really being true to my own passion. But I never did that. In fact, when I was there in Mumbai for like just recently, actually for 10 years, I never went out. I never partied.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never partied. I would be
Wow.
back home. I would be in bed by 12. I'd be up by 7:30 in the morning. I'd be doing my classes before, people rise. And yeah, I think that's the only thing which kind of, um, um, gave me that feeling that something could happen. And, if I just
Mm,
stuck by the persistence and consistently growing and learning and always developing
mm,
myself, and it finally actually did. Because, I mean,
mm.
I would like to tell you what I actually, I am doing right now, which is freaking incredible. And it's a dream come true for anybody. I'm
I
talking
know,
about,
actually, I know this, and we're going to touch on this a bit later
yeah, okay, yeah.
because, yeah, I do know this. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
told me this before.
I have
Um,
to.
and
So this
so
is the
that is
best.
like, you have, and it is freaking amazing. But before we get to that, I just want to maybe touch upon like some of the challenges, and, this might touch
No.
on that, but what are some of the challenges that you feel that like South Asian actors face in the film industry? Like, how have you navigated through them? And some of that might be because, you came from outside as well. Like, everyone
So I
talks
can
about the whole
just tell you,
nepotism
you
debate,
see,
but
everybody's journey is very different. So like, there's no
mm,
one set rule for everybody, for anybody. I can just, be honest about the struggles that I faced. So when I first
mm,
went to Mumbai, the struggle was to first of all get an apartment, because you're a
mm,
Muslim, you're an actor, you're a bachelor, you didn't get an apartment, you don't get a place to stay. So
right,
that was my
yeah,
first freaking struggle, just to get like a roof over my head, which again,
yeah,
my mom solved it for me by sending her brother over, who's a Christian, by the way. My mom's side of the family are Christians. So he came over
right, okay,
and he got it on his name as a Christian. And that was okay. And they said that, his mom is going to come. So he stayed with me. He stayed with me for like a couple of years. Now it's fine. Now
oh
I'm all
wow,
set up. I got my own house and everything. But at that point of time, it was a little difficult. So that was my first struggle. My second struggle would
mm,
have to be that after joining another acting school over there called Kishore Namit Kapoor. The
mm,
struggle was that I didn't know where the auditions used to take place.
mm,
It wasn't the internet or like Instagram or whatever. These things weren't existing at that point of time,
mm,
right?
mm,
And it was just I literally used to Google my way through it. I would just type it, and I would be duped so many times. All right, people cheated me left,
mm,
right, and center because you don't know who to believe, right? You go somewhere
yeah,
and they're like, "Yeah, if you give us about 5,000, 10,000 rupees, we'll get you into Glad Rags. We'll get you here. We'll get you there." And I'm like, "Okay,
yeah,
I'll give you 5,000 bucks." The next day I come, the whole office is gone. All right.
wow,
Everybody's just missing.
yeah,
All right. And I faced this like two or three times, and I'm like, I'm not ever giving money to anybody. You know what I mean?
wow,
And so that was my second struggle. Then, as soon as I learned that, okay, auditions take place in, let's say, Shriji, there's a place in Andheri West called Shriji.
mm,
There's a place called Aram Nagar where a lot of auditions used to take place. So then, once I found that out, I would be there 11 o'clock in the morning till like 9 o'clock at night.
mm,
And I would just do any audition and every audition. All right. And
wow,
I used to stay, there was one audition which I actually locked, and then I had to say no to it because the contract was just absurd. But in that one, I stayed in the line for 13 hours. I was,
no way,
yeah, I was staying there. I was there 10 o'clock in the morning, and and they wanted to shoot it in London, right? So it was a decent production,
yeah,
or so they said. So I'm like, okay, I need to get this. I need to get this. And there was a line of 500 people. I don't
wow,
understand. There was 500 people standing there, and I was right
wow,
at the back. And anybody left, you can't come back. You got to go back in the line. So I stood, and I went in for the audition. I killed the audition. There was a dance audition as well, which also I passed. And I got that film. And then he wanted to sign me on for 5 years, and he's like, "You can't do any work for 5 years." So
oh,
and I'm
okay,
like, that's kind of weird, bro. 5 years a long time. So I had to
yeah.
say no to that. But again, it's an experience of standing in line for 13 hours. It's not a joke. Trust me.
I mean, that's dedication, right? Like that's passion to another,
I mean,
like
like,
a lot
people
of
can
people
call
wouldn't
it
be able to do that.
desperation.
I
And
just think it's just competitive, right? I mean, you see it in the movies, you see it in these shows, and you don't think that it's real. Like, who would go that far? But again, I guess with the population, and the limitations in the roles available, you would expect that it would be that much.
To be
So
very
how did
honest,
you? Yeah.
when you're in Dubai and in UAE, there are only a certain amount of movies which release over here, right? Like
Right.
big movies like from Yash Raj or Dharma or at that
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
UAE, Reliance, right? So these are the production houses or the corporates that I knew, But
Mm,
when I went to India, right, I used to see posters left, right, and center of movies I've never even
yeah.
fathomed. I'm like, what? Where, what? Like, who are these people? Right? So it's a massive industry, yet a very small industry. You got to be very, very. First of all, you have to you know when I went there, that was the first 3-4 struggles which I then found in audition, and again it's all about the mind. I remember this one thing, my coach or my teacher, Mr. Kishore sir, he had told us that what do you guys, when we finished our course after 5 months, he asked us like, what are you guys going to do? And 99% of all the people, actually all of them, said that we're going to go out there and we're going to struggle and we're going to do, we're going to, and he's like, what are you going to do, Taha? And I'm like, bro, I'm going to get a movie. I ain't doing this. Who the hell says that I'm going to go out there and struggle? Right? I'm like, what?
I'm here for the confidence. I love it.
Yes, I'm like, I'm going to lock a movie. And I locked a movie within a year, which was the Yash Raj
Right. So
again.
yeah. So which one was Bar Bar Dekor? Right? Was that your first movie?
Love Ka the End, which was with Shraddha Kapoor.
Oh, Love by the End, of course. Yeah. That was the first movie,
That
right?
was the first
And not
film.
just that, but that was the first time like somebody young or something has played, because you were the protagonist in that, and that was wasn't that a bit risky for you?
To be honest, I didn't know what was risky, how to go ahead. And for me, it was
Right.
just like, hustle for the auditions. And because
want this.
my mindset coming from New York Film Academy and everybody putting it in my mind that you get your roles through auditions, so I didn't even know the word nepotism. I didn't know all of that, right? I was just a stupid boy. I was just
Right.
an average middle class boy just walking in and just believing in his talent and his work and just like, all right, I'm going to nail this audition and I'm going to get the role. I mean, that's the only belief I had, right? And I knew nobody in Mumbai, zero. I knew zero people when I stepped with my bag into Mumbai, right? So all I had was that faith. And so yeah, the first audition actually, the first movie that I got was again very, very it's a very weird experience of how I actually got it, because 4 or 5 months down when I was auditioning, Mr. Ashutosh Gowarkar was making a film called Buddha, Gautam Buddha,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I decided to go and shoot a self audition, all right, and hopefully try and send it on that email address that they had kind of written down on that paper. So I went to Borivali Park with my uncle who was staying with me, and two of my friends who actually came down from Dubai who used to live in India as well. And I'm like, guys, I need your help. So I dressed them up in freaking costumes. All right. And all of us went to Borivali and we shot this audition. I made my uncle act. I made them act. I made everybody act. I'm like, okay. And I played Gautam Buddha. And I sent it across, and it came across Shanu Sharma, who kind of gave me the break, right? And she saw it and she called me and she's like, come down, I want to meet you. So I went down and I met her at her house, and then she's like, what exactly are you doing in this audition? I'm like, I'm like, this is the best that I could do. From the understanding that I had. And she was just cracking her ass off. She was just laughing and rolling on the floor, right? She's like, it was basically a very stupid audition, all right? But she's like, I really like your persistence. And I'm going to give you a call sometime, all right, very soon. And I'll let you know. And I said, all right. But she's like, keep going. I said, all right, and I stepped out. A month later, she called me for an audition which Karan Johar wanted, but not from me. He wanted to see the girl, but she's like, you act with the girl, and he get to see you as well. So I was down to any opportunity. I'm good. I'll do it. So I
that space, right? Being in Karan Johar's presence and showing.
Let him just see me. No problem. Let him see me. All right. So I went down there and I was literally, I skipped a shoot and then I hurried off from a shoot and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come down. And I reached her building. I was literally downstairs. She gives me a call and she's like, he doesn't want to see you. So I'm like, no problem. It's okay. Next time. And so I just waited and I just consistently went out for as many auditions as possible. And I get a call from her. And then she's like, it's a Yash Raj film. It's a 3-film contract. And I would like to meet you. So I go and I meet her. And there were like 9 or 10 actors over there, right? Many of them
Right.
have now not working in the industry. They've left. One of them, Saqib, is still there. He was there. You know, he was
Okay.
launched with
Is that Saqib Salim?
Saqib Salim, and I think even Arjun Kapoor was there.
Right.
He was also being launched with us at that point in time. So Arjun Kapoor was there, and there were a couple other people, but they're all like all over the place now. So anyway, I did that audition couple of I think one week later, and yeah, I just believed that I would get it, and I kind of got it, you know, and I had
Wow.
no idea whether that was the right launch for an actor.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just an opportunity, and it was Yash Raj opportunity. So you know, you're not going to say no to it,
Yeah.
especially being
Yeah.
a
Of
nobody,
course.
right? And so yeah,
Of
that's how
course.
I actually landed my first film. Just fate, I guess. And you know, the funny part was that she said that we were looking for an actor since the last 9 months, and it was exactly
Oh
9 months since I entered India. You know,
wow. Oh,
so I'm like, well,
so something
shit,
to be. Yeah.
you were just waiting for me.
Yeah.
I'm here now.
Destiny. So how do you think the like diversity and representation within the Indian entertainment industry has kind of evolved from like when your first film till now?
How's the entertainment evolved? Oh, my man, dude, leaps and bounds. Actually, in fact, I think when I went there was no OTT platforms. First of all, you know, it was just movies. So everybody just wanted to be into movies, right? So you have to be very, very lucky to be part of the right movie to kind of get you, you know, to propel you into the market.
Mm.
You know, otherwise, there was a lot of shady films being made, but for you to be like, you know, being part of Yash Raj or being part of Dharma, these were the places to be.
Mm.
Otherwise, it was just kind of like a dud. You know, there were small films, unreleased. You would get like 75 screens. You know, your career is then done. You know, so I guess the entertainment industry has changed because of the OTT platform. Number one, number two, internet never played such a big role as it does today. You know, before we used to hustle to kind of just find one audition to kind of get into the room so that, you know, the casting director or whoever the director would try and see you. Right now, it's like self tape. Wherever the hell you are in the world, you just self tape, you send it, and you never know what happens. So, you know, that became a big thing after COVID, to be very honest. And so, those are two things. Of course, the industry has grown exponentially as far as the you know, people coming in from all over the world and trying to join it. Before, it was kind of frowned upon a little bit, you know, that, you know, film industry, a little not that great. But nowadays, every family wants their child to be in the film industry. Every family wants one of their children to be like an Instagram influencer. Everybody is an actor, or everybody wants to be an actor. So it's the kind of people. I mean, especially when the time when I joined, the statistics said that there used to be at least 1,000 actors who would come in every day. 1,000 actors
Oh
every day.
wow.
You know, that's a lot of people. All right, where are they? Where are these people? You know, and for you to be able to stand
Oh.
out from all of them to then be able to make it to the right place, right time, right film. You know, so I guess it's just become harder, and it's become harder, and it's become easier. Like you can reach out to them, but then for you to get that break, it's like nowadays people look at how many followers you have on Instagram,
Right. Yeah.
you know, which makes no sense because sometimes you might be an actor and you're not really going out there and like posting selfies, and you know, and to be very honest, I guess even like girls kind of get more followers than boys, you know, and
Right.
for whatever they have, right? And
Yeah.
it's I've seen so many times good legitimate actors, educated, intellectual actors are not getting the roles, but a dumbass influencer will get a role because of their
Right.
following.
Yeah. It's
So I'm like,
yeah.
what? And they can't act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're like, no, at least we will get
That's
their followers to watch the show. But again, it's a
really
transitional
interesting,
phase,
actually.
and I guess that now it's changing a bit. Like they're understanding that influencers are not actors, and influencers
Right.
cannot be. You have to have a separation between these two. You cannot merge the markets. You cannot call influencers actors, and you cannot call actors influencers. To be very honest, actors, especially if you become something, you can become an influencer, right? You can influence people
Right.
according to your thought process. But what influencers do, such as brands, and they go out to every party, they have to dress up. Like, dude, if you keep doing that, then when are you going to work on your acting skills? When are you going to work on your dance skills? Nowadays, I see people going to dance class. Before doing the dance, they want to put a video to show that they're dancing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I
But
just
Taha, I
yeah.
feel like this whole influencer thing, it's not new because back in the day, everyone, we used to see like anyone that was Miss India that represented, all these beauty, Miss Asia Pacific, Miss Universe and stuff, they all became, it was just expected that they would then go into acting and they would be signed. So that concept of influencers isn't a new concept. And a lot of
No,
them
no,
did
no,
go
no.
into
It's not definitely a new concept to me because when you join a pageant, such as let's say Glad
acting.
Rags, right, in which John Abraham came
Mm,
out or Dino Moria came out, or let's say Miss World,
mm,
Miss Asia, whatever,
mm,
Aishwarya Rai, Shushmita Sen, name it, Priyanka Chopra,
mm,
right? Again, to be on that world stage, right, and then to stand out
mm,
globally, right, it's very different
mm,
than anybody and everybody. Like in my building, there must be like 5, 10 influencers because every family wants their
mm.
children to be influencers. Every child wants to be,
Right.
but that doesn't mean you're legitimate. That doesn't mean that you're educated. To be
Mm,
standing on a global stage such as Miss Universe, Aishwarya Rai, Shushmita Sen, Lara Datta, Priyanka Chopra, they're very
mm,
smart women. They're
mm,
intellectually, they've studied. They're not just some random people who've just come up there and they're like, oh, okay, I'm pretty.
mm,
It's not that. They've learned to speak. They've learned to have their own mindset. There's a lot
mm.
of things. And again, influencers is every Tom, Dick, and Harry. But those people that you're talking about is like one in quite a lot. So
Right.
yes, there is it might be similar, but again, because of the
Mm,
Instagram and TikTok and whatever, it's become very I don't know, it's just everybody wants a piece of cake,
mm.
and
There's just too many of it now.
there's just too many.
Yeah.
There's too many, and
Mm,
not everybody is legitimate. Not everybody can speak. I just feel
mm,
that that's how the industry has evolved and has changed,
mm.
and it's okay. You got to play the game the way it is. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. So, okay, what's Brown got to do with it? Like, we explore inspiring stories. So, can you highlight like a particularly inspiring moment for you, or something that you've done in your career that you feel made a positive impact, either for yourself or like for the South Asian community?
Um. Hmm. So I believe that me being from Dubai, the South
Yeah,
Asian
I was just about to say, yeah.
I think that I was one of the first actors of Dubai to actually go to India and try it out and actually, make a little bit of themselves, to get
Yeah.
noticed. And I believe that this is not a win for me. I believe that this is a win for not even the people from UAE, but actually globally who want to go
Hmm.
into India and try and make it. Like Katrina Kaif. Katrina Kaif is, a,
Hmm.
is an inspiration to every person out there who might not know Hindi, right? Who might
Hmm.
be pretty sure, but who doesn't know the language, but has gone there, worked
Hmm.
hard, made her way in and
Yeah.
is now sustaining herself in such a great way. She's an inspiration. I believe that if I can even touch half of that, all right, I guess for people who are coming now, it's a good
Hmm.
thing to at least have an example. So I just
Hmm.
want to be an example for all the people who have dreams, and all the people who have been said no to, that you can't do this, you know, you don't have it in you, you're going to fail. So I believe that that's the only thing that actually drives me. That I, you know, people message me on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, and you know, they tell us that, you know, you really inspire us, you know, and not only to do with that you're making it in the industry, but because of your consistent effort on a daily basis, you know, and that's the only thing which I can do, because right now all I do is, I believe now, after 13 years, that what life is going to play out the way life is going to play out. All right.
Yeah.
Like, there's been so many instances where I have done a great job at the audition. I have actually even signed the film, right? And then somebody has come up and their son has taken the role, right? Or I've been thrown out and somebody else, and it's part of the game. I understand that, and it's hurt me, it's broken me. I wanted to leave the industry so many a times, all right? But then I leave and do what? You know what I mean? I mean, this is all I know. I'm so far in that I can't go back, and so I believe that I'm just taking it day by day, and lucky things such as, I'll give you an example. This previous show of mine called Taj. I don't know if you ever got to watch it.
Yeah, I was actually just going to talk about that, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you a small story. So I came back from the US, and I'll tell you about the US. You can ask me about that too. But so they've already signed somebody as an actor, and this was the first time. All right, they signed the guy as lead, and I'm like, okay, just give me one audition. Let me just show you my work. All right, and I was, to be honest, I feel like the industry had kind of written me off, right? This was about 4 years ago, 4 years ago, and they completely written me off. I was not getting any auditions, and they're like, I heard people over talking, and they're like, you know, you can't really call Taha anymore because he doesn't really have a market, and things like that, right? Again, breaking you down, you know, and then you just stick by, and I'm like begging people. I literally begged them. I fell on their feet. I would beg, just give me one audition, please. Just give me this audition. I know I can do it. And then they got so tired of me that they're like, okay, fine, I'm going to give this audition. All right. So they gave me this audition, and but they said that we've already signed somebody and we're not really going to watch it. I said, doesn't matter. Just give me the audition. One thing led to another. About a month later, this guy called Siddharth, he randomly, who was the head of Z5, and he's like, what's that guy's name? Taha, you audition him? Because they had like 20 minutes on their hand. They're like, just show us some audition, whatever. Let's just see it. So they played it, and as soon as they played, they're like, call this guy. And I went in, I met the director, Ron, I met William, all right? And I showed them my work in the US, I showed them my work in the UK, I showed them my work in India, what all I can bring to the table, all the action and whatever I can bring. And Ron, who was the director, he's like, I'm still not convinced, but William, he's like, he really took my side, and he's like, let us call you back. A week later, they call me and they're like, Ron is not really keen on you, but William is really putting his head out for you. And William is saying that if he, you know, if he doesn't have you, he's not going to go ahead with the show. So random. I have no idea why would anybody do that, right? So random. And so
thanks, William.
Yeah. And then William, so I get a call 9 days later, and then he's like, from Varsha. And Varsha is like, William fought so hard for you. Congratulations, you got the role. I'm like, wow, what? Unbelievable. I was waiting for 12 years of my life to change the way people look at me as an actor. All right. Because I've always gotten, see, when you start off in the industry, you have a certain particular kind of face. All right. And they're like, this guy's face can only fit in these kind of roles. All right. So for me, it was like, oh, he's a Casanova. Oh, he's a stud looking boy. Right. Oh, he has muscles. Oh, yeah. What, bro? Come on, man. I've got more depth than that. You know, so that.
But do people ever judge on like background? You know, did anybody ever say to you or ever look at you like, oh, you know, where are you from? And then you say, okay, I was born in like in the UAE. Do they ever look at you differently, or you know, do they ever feel like, oh, he's just privileged? And it, you know, did you have any of those experiences?
Yes, definitely the privileged part. They think that I'm privileged. I'm like, bro, just Dubai does not only have rich people, bro. We are very average middle class people. Right, trying to survive and trying to like make ends meet, literally. So, but yes, they do have this this mindset, and they thought that I was privileged, and which was completely okay. I had to fight that. I had to fight every single day for years and years. But yeah, I think finally after 12 years of struggle and belief, William from randomly just believed in me, and when I landed this role, it completely changed my graph right now. Because it stamped me as an actor. And the reviews which came out were just sensational. All right, and
I mean, you also worked really physically hard for that, right? Because you had to go like extensive physical
to be
and
very
mental,
honest,
I'm assuming mental preparation for that.
I have always looked at my weaknesses. When I first came into the industry, I knew that all I had was my faith and my acting, but I had no other skills, right? And looking good is not a skill; it's just a blessing. All right. So you need to like get over yourself.
Point to know.
Yeah, you need to get the hell over yourself and start working on your talents and make those talents your skills. So I used to like watch a lot of like some of my
But Taha, sorry,
Yeah.
I disagree with that slightly because if you weren't good looking, it would be much harder for you to even get a foot in the door, right? Because when they're looking for, I mean, the unconventional actors, like, who weren't known for their looks, like, Irfan Khan or Nawazuddin, like these guys weren't ever renowned for their looks. It must have been that much harder for them to get their foot through the door with just acting skills, because first and foremost, someone's going to look at you and say, hey, you're not good looking, I'm not even going to entertain this.
I've got that on my face too, actually.
What part of your face do you think is just not good looking?
It's not about what I think. It's more, I think at that point of time this was even after I got this was just before I got the Yash Raj film. I went for I used like I said, I used to go to Shriji, and there would be a bunch of people standing outside, right? And then there would be a door opening, and then the casting director would step out, and he's like, you come in, you तुझे actor बनना है, तेरा चेहरा देखा है?
Oh my God.
They would say shit like that, bro. All right, so yeah, they would point, and I've got it so many times. Like, तू बनेगा actor, जा यहाँ से, चल. So I've been shun out. I've been thrown out of rooms. So I'm like, but I'm a decent looking guy. Why don't you want me? Like, what's the problem? Because for me it was like, oh, good looking guys will get the roles at least. But I then understood that wasn't it. Yes, it can open. It can give you a foot into the door. But end of the day, sometimes when you're good looking, they think you can't act.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for some reason, it's so weird. They think, they say that.
But I don't think, I don't think it's just in the film industry, though. I think anywhere, if you're dressed well, or as a woman, if you look good, if you've got some makeup on, they just think, like you don't have a brain, or if you look younger than you are, they think you don't have the experience. I think people are very judgmental, and I can only imagine. But how did it work out for you, like growing up in the Middle East? Because there's a lot of over here, there's still a lot of stereotypes, right? Like that still happen. And I can only imagine when you were growing up here, it was even harder because South Asians were seen in a certain way, and they were there to provide a certain, level of service. And so how much of that was like that pushed you to be like, no, I want to work against this stereotype and I'm going to change this narrative?
No, not to be. I never wanted to see people are going to. When I grew up and I was doing all the businesses with my mom, I grew up with people, and lucky for me, my mom put me in a school, right? So I would be insulted every day. Very lucky. They would really pick on you. They would come up to you and they're like, din. Like, bro,
oh wow,
who the hell does this, bro?
Oh wow,
you know what I mean? Like, but all right. So we used to get bullied left, right, and center, and I didn't want to change that. All I wanted to do was, to be honest, I saw my mom go through a lot of suffering. So I think the only focus in my mind was I wanted to give my mom the life that she deserves.
Right.
That's about it. And in this process, if stereotypes change, if this happens, that happens, that is all not in my control, right? What was in my control is I've seen my mom do crazy amount of hard work, right? And I just emulate that in this industry. It's very simple. She used to like get the yellow pages and she would like call every construction company. She would go to every construction company. She would stand down there. She would wait. She's a woman and she would do it in this country, right? And I'm like,
and I know how difficult that is, and I can only imagine at that time it was really challenging.
Especially now, they're like, women empowerment, the first local Naila, who is the first local filmmaker. There's so many things which have changed nowadays. But before it wasn't like that. And she had to like struggle past without any kind of internet, without anything. She had to do the legwork. You know what I mean? So I just kind of took that and I'm like, bro, if she can go to all the construction companies and wait down there, I can go to all the production companies and wait down there. You know what I mean? If she can like,
and
if she can, yeah. Go ahead.
The waiting paid off, right? Because now I'm like so excited to talk about your actual like your actual like what's coming up for you and this massive exciting project that you are doing. So I'm gonna let you just tell us, what are you doing?
I'm going to be a little hush about it because I'm not really allowed to speak about it. The director will kill me, but I will tell you that I'll tell you a small story so that at least people can believe that things like this happen. So when I wanted to work with this director, let's just say he is the topmost director of India right now.
He is massive.
Yeah, okay, yes. That's number one. Number two, when I was literally after Taj, before just when I was getting Taj, I was shooting Taj. Me and my friend Tushar, we were really hustling to get one small audition in this huge, humongous project. Just one small audition, and we got that audition after 15 months of chasing the casting director. All right, we got that audition, and that was an audition for a very stupid Nawab. All right, and it was a 3-day role, and I locked it, and I was so happy that I was going to work with this director, and I'm like, I got a 3-day role, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's not like I achieved anything really. I was literally like an extra, all right, but I'm like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to show him because, when I listen to a lot of actors like Morgan Freeman and so many other people, and they've always said that the role is not small, the actors are small, right? And if you can show your talent in that one scene, you will be noticed. All right. And that's what I've always believed throughout my life because sometimes that's the only opportunity I get. One scene to prove myself, just that one scene. That's all I need, one scene. Right. So in this one, when I got it, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then randomly I just get a call back from his office and they're like, he wants to meet you. Like, okay, so I go up and meet him. He talks to me for about 45 minutes. He asks me about all the work I've done, and he's like, "You've done a lot of work, but nobody knows you." I'm like, "Thanks, thank you very much," And he turned around to the casting director, and he's like, "This boy, don't give him this role. Give him a bigger role, which was like a 35-day role, which was like a revolutionary's role." And I'm like, "What? You're increasing my role? That never happens." And such a big guy too. So I'm like, damn, I'm ready, I'm done. So I went and I kind of did the audition the next day. I passed it. I mean, because I killed the audition, right? And I'm like, all right, done. All right. And I was about to sign it about 10 days later. So they called me in and they made me wait. And they're like, before signing, sir wants to meet you. So I'm like, all right. So I'm like very scared, right? Because whenever something like this happens, I'm like, bhai, किसी का बेटा आ गया, किसी का कोई आ गया, मुझे निकालने वाले हैं, all I've faced that my whole life. So I'm like, all right, okay, screw this shit. I'll do the 3-day role, no problem. So I went up, I sat with him, and I'm like, sir, I'm really sorry if I messed up somewhere. Please just give me one more chance. I don't mind auditioning again. Please, please, please don't remove me. And he's like, shut up, sit down. I'm like, oh, okay. So I sat down, and he's like, I saw your look test. I saw your photos. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, kuch to hai teri aankhon mein. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, I want you for the lead of my project. And I went, what? What are you saying, man? And then he's like, and I was shocked. Literally, my jaw was touching the floor, right? And I'm like, what? And he's like, you don't want it. I'm like, I can't comprehend what you're saying at the moment. All right. So I'm sorry. I can't understand what you're saying. He's like, I want you for the lead of my project. I, I'm like, okay. And he's like, come tomorrow and for the look test. And he's like, chal, abhi ja. So I'm like literally just like
Oh my
crawling
God.
my way out of his room and not believing, am I dreaming right now? What's happening? So then I step out, I go back, I do the audition, and like a month later I sign in again.
Wait. Who was the first person you called after he said that? After you walked out of that office, who was the first person you called?
My mom. My mom. I told my mom because, 12, 13 years of waiting, and my
Yeah.
mom's been my only consistent support, you
She
know.
deserved to know. Yeah.
Yeah, she's always the first to know. She's the first, and then the second person is Tushar, who's been with me for like 11 years now, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah, he's the second person, and he was, yeah, we know what we've been through. So, to get an
Mm.
opportunity like this was, I didn't, I'm still, to be very honest, I still don't believe I just completed the whole show and I've done it and I've killed it. All right. I still don't believe I've actually got it. I don't even know what's going to happen in the future, but I just
So
know.
wait, is it the filming's finished now? When is it coming out? Like what's
So the filming just actually got done, and to be, so we actually did 1 month of shooting in Lucknow right now.
I know I saw your Insta,
Oh,
yeah.
you did. All right, yeah. So we just
Yeah.
completed shoot over there.
Amazing. I can't wait. Like really excited to
Yeah,
then you can
the first,
actually everybody will know who it is.
yeah, yeah. And I've not actually been able to speak to anybody, and it's not like, I'm. It's not like I want to tell everybody. It's not that because, to be honest, it has to be within. It has to be like, and this win, like I said, it's not my win. It's a win for everybody in
Yeah.
Dubai. It's a win for everybody
Yeah.
worldwide who believes or who doesn't believe that auditions can't get you places. You know what I mean? Auditions can get you places, even with nepotism, even with everything. If it's meant to be, it will be.
Mm.
Yeah.
So just one of the last things, and that's how do you think the film industry in general can contribute to like fostering, and I'm talking about global film industry, not just the Indian film industry,
Right.
but
Okay.
how can it contribute to fostering more inclusivity? And how do you think that you could play a part in that? I mean, apart from the fact that, you've come from outside and you've managed to, inshallah, this will do this is what puts you just up there. But how do you see yourself playing that part, like on a global platform to show like the global film industry that, the South Asian, you're here to stay, the amazing things that, we are doing?
So, I believe that the bridges or the borders have kind of, been wiped off with OTT platforms such as Netflix and Amazon.
Right.
You get to see content or cultures from all over the world,
Mm.
and you get to appreciate that. And which, of course, by watching a lot of stuff internationally, um, us and outside, we all get inspired by each other. So that's number one. So
Mm.
definitely the OTT platforms have given us that leverage that we can constantly learn from across the globe. All right, which then kind of
Mm.
like allows us to join hands with one another. That's number one. Number two,
Mm.
I would have to say specifically based on the Indian film industry as of now, that there used to be Bollywood, there used to be Tollywood, there used to be Collywood, whatever there used to be, right? Nowadays, it's every film or at least big films are releasing in all languages. The borders again
Mm.
have been shut. So now we've taken South Indian directors, like, or, we're taking South Indian DOPs, or our actors are working in the
Mm.
South. South actors are working in Bollywood. So I believe that it's just going to become more and more inclusive of all of us, and
Mm.
it's going to be like there's not going to be any separation of Bollywood or Tollywood or Collywood. It's going to be an Indian film industry. So the competition itself rises and inclusivity also rises. That's number one. Number two, as far as global is concerned, I believe that with the small steps such as Oscars accepting films like the documentary The Elephant Whispers, or our song like RRR, and Gangubai being a global hit, across America, across Europe, even in Singapore. People dressing up as Gangubai and walking the streets in I think it was in Vietnam or in Singapore, somewhere like that. I mean, imagine that. So your movies
Oh, wow.
can really change a lot of people's perspective.
Sorry,
And
but I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that.
but it has
I
happened.
can't imagine a bunch of gangubais walking in Vietnam. That just, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it has happened. It has happened. You know what I mean? I agree. It's incredible. I like that's what I'm saying. You can't understand. Me personally, I can't even imagine this stuff. But it's happening around the globe, and again, it's all thanks to the internet, and it's all thanks to people accepting different cultures.
Mm,
So I believe that we're already becoming inclusive, and now it's just time to. And
mm,
as far as I'm concerned, I would really love to, work all over the globe, But as of now, I feel that India has become such an incredible market and such a huge market for content
mm.
creation that there's really no time to kind of look out of the box at the moment, because there's just so much happening over here. Everybody's trying to get into India, and I believe that because they're getting into
Well,
India,
that's it, right? Like, yeah.
yeah, they're getting into
Everybody.
India.
I mean, we're talking about influencers. All these influencers have now also realized that actually I need my Indian following because all of a sudden they realize the population of India, and so now all these contents is like more geared towards Indians. And I was talking to somebody the other day. They were saying like how even people doing cooking shows, and now all of a sudden they're like Indian dishes included in these cooking shows, so that you can market the Indian community or the Indian followers. And so it is big, and that's amazing to see that people want to actually come into India, and that actually India doesn't have to move outside
Yeah,
of anywhere
not
now and go
anymore. Not
anywhere.
anymore. I believe that this whole make in India, is really booming, and our
Mm.
economy is booming, and
Yeah.
what's it called? We have right now. I believe we have so many different kind of cultures to explore in our own country, right? It's just
Yeah.
incredible. We've got, and also the
Absolutely.
landscapes of India,
Yeah.
from up north to down south, from east to west. We've got everything. We've got deserts, we've got mountains, we've
Everything.
got snow, we've got beaches, we've got temples, we've got, name it, and we have it.
Yeah.
So I believe that India
Absolutely.
itself is a global market, and it's a melting pot. Especially Mumbai is becoming a melting pot for all the global
Mm.
citizens to come in, and and it's becoming inclusive by itself. So it's just in a few
Yeah.
more years, and it's really going to touch its peak. I feel so, at least.
I think so too. Um, my last question to you, and it's something that I ask all my guests, and that is, what does brown have to do with it for you? Like, what does it mean to be brown to you?
What does it mean to be brown? Right now, growing up, I guess people made you feel that being brown was, you're lower than them. I believe when
Mm,
you're growing up, people made me feel that way. That you're a
mm,
nobody, that you're nothing, you're a third world country, and things like that. And I believe now, um, educating myself, not being the ignorant child that I was, understanding the world and understanding our people and our culture, like we just spoke about. I believe that
mm,
being brown is equal to being progressive. Being brown is the midway between, let's say, white and black.
mm,
We are no different than anybody, and I believe that being brown is something that you should be proud of. So I'm very proud to be a desi, and I would
mm,
definitely include Pakistan. I would definitely include people from Nepal. I would
mm,
include people from Bangladesh, from Sri Lanka. These are all our people, right? And I believe
mm,
that being brown is something to be is to feel pride, is to feel proud of yourself,
mm.
you know, and acceptance. I guess being brown is acceptance. That's what I feel.
I like that. Well, thank you, Taha. This was actually such a fun and exhilarating conversation. I could actually talk to you for a few more hours, but it's your brother's birthday, and so I know you need to go. But thank you for being here on the show today, and really, really can't wait to share this. Like when you are about to explode. So everybody, look out for Taha. You have no idea how big this guy's going to be. Thank you, Taha, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.